So Rick has 4-week deployment periods that he gets for his department. And they refer to them as deployment periods. That in itself is really unique to have your work schedule called a deployment period. Hi, I'm Kristen. I have been a police wife for 9 years and I am from Los Angeles, and I'm so excited to talk to you today in continuing our discussion of police wife struggles, and specifically talk to you today about the schedules and unpredictability of this police wife life that you have entered. Though I have so much respect for military families, I think that our lives are also quite chaotic and unpredictable. And honestly, the schedule is like the biggest thing that created arguments between Rick, my husband, and I for like the first few years. I feel like it took me 5 years to stop fighting. That's why I have this on the thumbnail, like the schedule. I was so frustrated with it, didn't understand it, and just kept like fighting against it. So let me explain a little context. So Rick has 4-week deployment periods that he gets for his department, and they refer to them as deployment periods. That in itself is really unique to have your work schedule called a deployment period. It gives a whole different context of understanding, and for a long time he would refer to it as DP, and he didn't really like call it that full name, deployment period. And when he said it out loud to me, it was like years into the marriage, I was like, wow, that's pretty deep to really think about that. And that really changes my mindset about his work. For them to call it deployment means that their view as a department is like, he's deploying, he's a part of this unit that's coming out, and we need him to be there. Like, right? Like it's in the military, they have to be there, right, for their deployment. You can't like call in sick, you can't go on vacation, right? And so that's really strong to kind of think about it. And I know there's a lot of controversy around like the militarization of police, but that's the reality. And this is an urban department that he's in, so a city. And so for them to have that mentality is really unique. In addition to the fact that it's 4 weeks, it does not correspond with the calendar month. Which is really hard. I am someone that has I'm a professor, so I work, it's kind of like a 9 to 5, even more flexible than a 9 to 5. But I know when I teach, I know when I have to be there for meetings and stuff like that. And there's so much stability to it. And I love that. I usually get holidays off, like love that about my schedule, right? And I saw a therapist many years ago, and I reflected on that like, she told me, she's like, you chose this career on purpose. I also chose it consciously because I knew I wanted to be a mom, and I would have summers off with my kids, and I would have a teacher schedule. Like, and that's why I kind of fought for my career. And I talk about this in my Police Wife devotional. I will link that below. It's a book where I go through like 42 stories, Bible verses, and prayers that are really our growth moments in our marriage, and really helped us to kind of grow, right, as a married couple, and get over these challenges. And that was one of them for me for a little bit. So let's get back to the schedule talk though. So my first tip for you is, because of their crazy schedules that may be changing all the time, changing last minute, all of this, it is up to you to create stability for you and your family. And in order to do that, first, what I had to do is accept. I had to accept and stop fighting this crazy schedule, right? So if I was fighting it, I thought I could change it. Like, I would literally tell Rick, jokingly but kind of serious, that I wanted to be the police scheduler. Like, I thought, and I would joke but kind of be serious, that I thought I could do a better job at this a job that they had. Because I was like, why is it so crazy? Like, he wouldn't have stable hours, stable days that he would work. And I was like, this is so nuts. But they need to have like a certain number of officers on. Some do take vacation or sick time or whatever, and they would try to anticipate that, or like events going on in the city that they needed more people for. And so I kind of get it, right? Like, once I stopped fighting it. So first, stop fighting it. I guess that is my first tip, is that you're going to have to accept that like this comes with the life. There's a lot of other great things that come with this life. And I talked about that in my previous video, where I was really just candidly talking to you about the fact that Rick is there for me as well. And I don't talk about that a lot in these videos. I really wanted to share that because someone gave me some really critical feedback and was like, hey man, like it seems like unrequited love basically. So check that video out if you haven't after this one. But the second one that I already brought up but is really important is to create stability for yourself and your family. And like I really value stability, and you can be the one to create that. Like just because your husband has this chaotic schedule doesn't mean you can't have like routines that are normal in your family, but you have to be the one to create that. And I feel like I do in my family. We pretty much get up around the same time every day, 6 to 7 a.m. That is not on purpose. Like 7 a.m. would be just fine for me, but my boys like to wake up early, but we also have like a really stable bedtime routine that looks a certain way for our family. And so the second tip is to create routines that work for you on your solo days. So when you are home alone, whether that is just you, if you don't have kids, or if you have kids, if you are alone with the kids, create routines that, you know, you can do independently. That was super important to me, especially with kids, knowing Rick was working swings and nights for a long time. And even though he did take off paternity leave, which I didn't talk about in my last video, I should have said that, but he took off paternity leave, but I knew, okay, after he goes back, like 3-4 days a week, I'm alone at night and like doing the evening shift, basically at home alone. And I needed to figure out how to do that. Leonidas, my second baby, they're 2 years apart, my two boys. He was colicky, and so he would cry like between 5 and 10 p.m. like almost every night, and like thinking about that makes me want to cry. Like it was such a hard time. And then I had Maverick, who was still just 2, so he had potty trained early, which was lovely, like right at 2, but he still needed help at night. He needed help like with bed, of course, dinner time and bath time, and we have still a regular bedtime routine where like we put on PJs, they go potty, brush teeth, stuff like that, and then we go to bed and read a book and sing a song. And I wanted to like keep that stability for Maverick, my older one, even though sometimes Leonidas would not be ready for bed, but we did that around 8 o'clock, and we still do every night. That's kind of when we know our boys are tired. And it works for me too to like have that time, now that both my boys go to bed around the same time, to like have that time for myself at the end of the day. Because as a mom, you do not get that much time for you to do anything for you. And so I remember like that I would shower after I'd get them to bed when they were younger, because I didn't feel comfortable showering when they were awake. Now I do. Things have changed, and that's lovely. But I created this stability in that routine that really helped me to be okay, you know. I would also plan ahead for those days, because I could we would get the 4-week schedule and I could see, okay, what those days were going to be. Because sometimes I would plan like a play date maybe in the evening or afternoon, so that I wasn't like alone all day with them. And that really helped. Like always kind of scheduling time with other adults in your life when you have young kids is so helpful, especially if you have a spouse that isn't coming home until after you go to bed. So you're not gonna like have adult time after bedtime with them. So I also want to say that the third tip is to accept that the routine is going to look different when your spouse is home. So when Rick is home, I know, and our boys are now old enough to like consciously know, like daddy's home, things are different. For example, like he likes, both of us love this. It doesn't always work out for me, but for them to like have a bath right after school or shower, because we heard from a nurse once, like, and I definitely think it makes sense that it helps them to stay healthier, although we were just sick, so, but in general, healthier if you like change your clothes after school and take a bath or shower. And so we do that. But when Rick is home, it's like, that's what they're doing. Like there's no choice, there's no like snack time before. And if it's just me, I'm a little bit more flexible on that. And like they can have snack time and then we go upstairs and like do tubby time. But I tell the boys like daddy's home today, so it's gonna be a little different. And so they kind of know, and it's okay. Like we just accept that. And it's important for Rick to feel like he can create his own routines. But also something that I do is that if there's something that really matters to me, like the bedtime routine looking the same or similar every night, that's really important to me, so that we are settling down, like, and I get my downtime right after they go to bed. And I remember telling that to Rick one time, like, I can't be having them up till like 8:30 or 9. Like, I need to go right to bed then. Like, I'm tired, when they weren't sleeping through the night and stuff like that. So, and he did, like, he followed through with that. And really, if there has been a moment where I'm like, hey, I need the routine to look this way, he supports me because he knows I'm here alone more with him, or without him, with my boys. So that's really important. The next thing having to do with this chaotic schedule is to really acknowledge that holidays or special occasions, birthdays, stuff like that, might need to be celebrated on another day, or maybe both days. So if you know your spouse is working, or maybe you don't know and last minute he has to go to work, which has happened to us, even dates. I have gone on a double date alone, without, which is kind of funny, but a scheduled double date with Rick's best friend and his wife, and it was supposed to be Rick and me and our kids. Actually, it was like a double date, family date, I should say, to a concert. I planned it. I told Rick to take the day off. He thought he did, and he didn't have it off on his schedule. And I ended up going alone. Like, I was like, well, at least I had my kids with me. It wasn't like I was totally alone, and I just kind of hung out with the kids, and it was fine. I mean, I did, I felt sad for a little bit. Like, it was sad to miss Rick from being there, but I know this is part of this life, like our spouses work weekends, evenings, during that typical date time. There's been other times where if he is working a holiday, we'll schedule like a time to celebrate together as a family so that he can be there on another day. And then I will still celebrate the holiday on the actual day. I made a video on holidays and dating a cop during the holidays, so check that out. I will link it below as well, kind of in how I deal with that and navigate that. And the next thing that I really do, and I mentioned this earlier, but this is my last tip, is to really plan ahead for those solo days. So if you can get your spouse's schedule, which is something that like Rick and I had to kind of discuss over time because I didn't have access to it. Like, he would have his schedule and he goes day by day. He literally looks to see if he's working the next day, the day before. I just can't live that way, right? Like, that drives me nuts. But so I told him, I was like, is there any way you can send it to me? So now when he gets it on his email, he sends it to me and I put it in my phone. Like, I put the days he's working on my phone. I also use, and I share this on my Instagram, I use a whiteboard or dry erase family calendar that is low to the ground so my boys can see it and they know when daddy is working as well. And then I write like all of their school stuff, if they have activities after school on there. So it helps us to keep track. It's not perfect, but it helps us to keep track together. I also have all that in my phone, Google Calendar as well. Rick and I don't share Google Calendar, but I've heard of other people that do, because like I said, Rick just goes day by day. That's how it works for him, and that's fine. So once he started sending me his schedule though, I could plan ahead for those days or weekends that looked a little rough for me, like, right? Like if he was working Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like 2 weekends or 3 weekends in a row. I'm going to talk about this in another video on loneliness, but I would plan ahead and think about what can I do that weekend to kind of make it better for us as a family. So maybe I'd plan something fun for the boys and I to do, or a play date, or time with family, something for us to look forward to and for us to enjoy that weekend, even though we wouldn't have Rick with us. And sometimes Rick has said that's made him sad if like I plan something fun for the boys and I to do, like we're going on these adventures without him. So I do try to plan things that I will talk to Rick about it. Like, I know that we want to go to these really big like science museums in LA, which we haven't been to with the boys, and I know he wants to come with us. So I won't do that like without him. But if I take them to like the children's museum, like he's fine, right? So it's important to talk to them about the things that you want to do without them, so that sometimes they might feel sad, you know, but if you need to do it to find joy in your life when you are solo, then you've got to do it, you know, and I think they need to understand that too, and then try to do fun things, of course, with them when they are off. But honestly, Rick like loves to chill, and he doesn't like me to plan too much for the weekends when he is home with us. So I feel like it kind of works out because I'm more of the social one that like wants to get out. I hope that this was helpful for you. In my next video, I will talk about loneliness, which is another challenge that's super common for us police wives, or when you are dating a cop. And so I hope that that one will help you as well. I am starting in January a brand new coaching program, a group coaching program online. If you are a police wife or a first responder wife, you can join, or a girlfriend of a first responder, you can join. I will link all that information below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Have a great day.